and welcome back to TOPinion with me, Joe, on the Top Chat YouTube channel. I think this is episode number 5, can't quite remember because I'm useless. This week we are going to be talking about the Fallout franchise and Bethesda and what the future holds for the franchise, with a lot of stuff happening with Fallout 76. Thought it was a good time to dissect one of my favourite franchises a little bit. I'm not going to be predicting like Fallout 5 locations, but I probably will do that in a future episode. I sort of got this idea because me and my brother Seb recorded a Top Chat Games podcast episode all about Bethesda, so check that out. I think it's episode 15 over on the YouTube channel or on the other podcast services that I don't really know about, but yeah, let's go. Over 20 years ago, the Fallout franchise was unleashed on the world. The brainchild of Tim Kaine at Interplay Productions, we were introduced to a post-apocalyptic wasteland that would become the playground for RPG players for years and generations to come, full of irradiated creatures, shanty settlements, and all manner of people trying to make their way in this desperate world, all wrapped up in the 1950s aesthetic with a dark humoured twist. Fast forward a couple of decades and the formula has remained largely the same, yet the perspective and developers have all changed. Though in 2018, the Fallout universe would receive something to its wasteland it had never had before: multiplayer. Fallout 76 has now been out for about 6 months or so at the time of recording, and it's fair to say that the launch has been about as smooth as a ghoul's face. Anything that could have gone wrong with the game has gone wrong, from your classic Bethesda Game Studios bugs and glitches, amplified by the multiplayer element, to special edition merchandise being falsely advertised. Seriously, that bag though. Set a lot closer to the dropping of the bombs than we are used to in the Fallout universe, we are treated to a much greener, vibrant world set within West Virginia, with much stranger and diverse sets of enemies that have been hit with the full force of nuclear radiation. Within the typical Fallout style, you emerge from your vault and you're free to explore the wasteland, gathering your riches and leaving a trail of corpses in your wake. Yet the idea behind Fallout 76 is now you're not alone. Bethesda have wanted to do an online Fallout since they acquired the franchise, and thought now is the right time with the technology at the right level in order to best achieve what they hoped for. Many would say that they have failed in their attempt at a games as a service model, although there is still time for the game to get back on track. Look at Destiny or No Man's Sky, for example, that after a few good updates they have shifted the negative feeling they both received to a much more positive outlook. Murmurings of the game shifting to a free-to-play, microtransaction model have so far been shut down by the powers that be at Bethesda, yet the rumours persist as we still await for the first big content drop for the game, content being something which is missing from the base game so far. But what else awaits the future of Bethesda's second flagship title? In the immediate future, it would seem outside of Fallout 76 DLC, it will be all quiet on the Fallout front, with Bethesda Game Studios currently focused on their 2 newly announced projects in Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. It is unlikely we will see Fallout 5 or whatever iteration it is going to be until the mid-2020s. This could be a much needed break for the franchise that hasn't received the best publicity over the last couple of releases. On top of Fallout 76's well-documented problems, the last mainline release in the franchise in Fallout 4 was not the most warmly received in the franchise either. Many have felt since Bethesda acquired the rights to the Fallout franchise, games have been dumbed down to appeal to the broader audience, with the fans of the franchise yearning for the older days of Fallout 1 and 2, which had the pedigree of true RPGs such as Wasteland and Baldur's Gate. When Fallout 3 was released, the perspective of the franchise changed, literally and figuratively, from being a top-down isometric game to a first or third-person view. Yet also the game shifted its focus from a true RPG where gamers had a multitude of stats and choices in order to navigate their way through the game. In Fallout 3, these mechanics were still present, but were geared a lot more towards an action game with RPG tendencies, with shooting becoming a larger focus. For many, this was a good balance between game design for popularity and the purists. This was emphasised even further with the popularity of Fallout New Vegas, a game created by Obsidian rather than Bethesda, which consisted of some of the franchise's original creators. It doubled down on the RPG mechanics which were so ever present in the original games, whilst keeping with a new Fallout action game style. Then Fallout 4 was up there with the most anticipated games of all time, yet it ended up in slight disappointment to most. Not a bad game, yet not much of an improvement over Fallout 3, with the game considered to have dumbed down the RPG mechanics yet again in order to appeal to a broader audience. With a simplified conversation system and voiced protagonists to name but a few. Many of the core fanbase were left unamazed by Fallout 4, so when Fallout 76 turned out to be a multiplayer game rather than a core single-player entry, the Fallout resentment had reached a peak that the franchise hasn't experienced before, along with Bethesda Game Studios' reputation. So far in Bethesda's reign over the Fallout universe, possibly the most popular game amongst fans in the franchise is New Vegas. This surely leaves a sour taste in their mouth, as Bethesda didn't even develop the game. They gave Obsidian their tools and engine to create an intermittent game, whilst they thought they would be developing the vastly superior Fallout 4. The fact that Bethesda don't often allude to Fallout New Vegas even existing says everything about how they feel towards that game, especially as it's made by some of the original creators of the Fallout universe, who seems to feel the love of the fans a lot more than Bethesda receive. This is perhaps why we haven't received and most likely won't be getting a Fallout New Vegas equivalent between Fallout 4 and Fallout 5, with Fallout 76 supposedly filling our craving for the universe while Bethesda Game Studios gets on with the long developments of Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6, the latter of which probably not releasing before 2022, giving us the indication of how far off Fallout 5 we truly are, with Fallout 76 not panning out the way ZeniMax and Bethesda might have wished. After a few content drops, Fallout 76 might die quietly within the next couple of years, and then the Fallout franchise looks like it will be on a bit of a break, while Bethesda decide where to take the franchise next. RPGs have moved on from Bethesda's slightly tired model of building games, and whilst they have been endlessly porting Skyrim, we've had newcomers like CD Projekt Red coming in to take their throne with The Witcher 3 and the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077, already looking like a game changer. On top of that, Bethesda's old sparring partner Obsidian have swooped in with what could be a Fallout beta with their heavily inspired Outer Worlds already debuting its gameplay to a popular reception amongst fans. Obviously, we will get a return to the Wasteland in some shape or form. Who knows if it will be called Fallout 5 or not, because we are probably a good few years away from finding out. Sometimes it can benefit a franchise to have a little break, and since Bethesda took over the Fallout franchise, we've had 4 games in 10 years or so. With Bethesda Game Studios now releasing their first new franchise in a while in the shape of Starfield, this can alleviate some of the pressure off of Fallout, while Starfield competes against the Outer Worlds in a more classic sci-fi RPG war. It will be good for Fallout to have a little break while Bethesda further develop their engine to give the franchise a much needed facelift. Although a lot could be said about Bethesda's design approach to the games needing to be changed first over any technical improvements. With the ever further shift towards a broader appeal to the franchise, a good idea would be to double down with what made the franchise popular in the first place, as going for a broader appeal could lose the core fanbase and have the opposite effect in the long run. I'm excited to see what Bethesda can do in this time they have, and I'm hopeful for a return to form of Fallout 5, pulling out all the stops. Also, keep base building in, it's pretty good. Alright, thanks guys for checking that video out. As I said, in the future I want to do a video about looking at where Fallout 5 could be set. Obviously one of them's going to be London, because that's where I live, and I want a game set in London, because I'm biased. Don't fight me about the base building, I enjoyed it, just let me have that please. If you enjoyed, leave a little comment. Check us out on Twitter at Top Chat Podcast, I think it is. And check out our other TOPinion videos. We've got a range of topics now. I think this will be the 10th one, as well as 16 episodes of the Top Chat Games podcast. So lots of content for you to check out. So please do enjoy that, and bye for now.